Let's see how this is working. Everything looks like it's working. It looks like sound's coming through. Happy days. It's been a hot minute. What we're going to go into today, we have tons of things to catch up on. There's been a lot of StarCraft content recently. We had StarCon, we have ASL going, we had CS LAN going on in Chicago. Just a ton of things that have been kind of taking additional time away from doing some casts. But I don't feel like playing tonight. I want to cast, and what we have is 3 series that I want to get through. We have the Brood War Tournament number 4 finals, which will be Genesis versus Navane. That should be a good one. And then we have the Brood War Tournament number 7 upper bracket and lower bracket semifinals. I think we're still waiting on the overall finals from those. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's go into Brood War Tournament number 4 finals, which we had to kind of skip over last time. It was like a lost file. So hopefully it's all good in this. This is a best of 5 series. I don't remember who came in from the winners bracket. So we'll just kind of have to keep track of the record, and when someone hits 3 wins, or if it ends after someone gets 2 wins, then we'll know. But anyway, let's go ahead and shift tab this. We are on Dominator, 3-player map. Up here in the 11 o'clock position is our blue Terran, and that is Genesis, going by the username of Mechasis. And then at the 9 o'clock position, we have Navane, our red Protoss player. Now, let's go ahead and reveal real quick. So 3-player map, right? A couple of the key features here is low ground main base. Good amount of space, but space that can be exploited by some drops. But really, the fact that it's low ground really opens up a lot of opportunities for people to apply pressure, get a contain going from the natural position. Also, something to note is that when this map is being played, there's kind of like a natural expansion direction, right? And it's kind of in a clockwise form, right? So the Terran, is kind of wanting to expand towards the Protoss, where the Protoss has the opportunity to kind of expand away. So that's kind of the big things about this map. One of my favorites. I enjoy 3-player maps, and I think that we generally see a lot more aggressive play. The Navane throwing down a gate right now, and we just have everyone kind of powering up. If you're watching this VOD on YouTube, or if you just kind of ended up stumbling across this is StarCraft Underground. So this is the 4th Brood War tournament that we've hosted for StarCraft Underground, and I think right now we're on number 21, and it's only been around for, I don't know, 7 or 8 weeks. Basically, the whole premise is that it doesn't matter what MMR you are, you can come in, join StarCraft Underground, play Brood War or StarCraft 2, or a combination of both, and there's always a bracket that you can sign up for. You can sign up for as many as you want. It's endless brackets, and there's kind of like an internal ladder system. So right now, everyone, because the program's so young, everyone's kind of just level 1, but we should be getting the people that have been promoted within StarCraft Underground going into level 2 here shortly. All right, so we are at the point where we're probably going to start seeing some deviations. We do see Genesis getting his SCV over here for an early scout. He will be getting a first scout off, which will be nice. We have the Cybernetics core. He's going to be going down here and seeing that he is going to have to contend with some probably, Dragoon range coming up. So if he does expand, then we'll likely see kind of a bunker get placed down here in that whole dance. Dragoons are underway, and Navane is sending his first initial probe scout out to see where Genesis is. Now, it does look like he's going to be incorrect on his first scout, and he's not following up with a zealot. So sometimes what we'll see is a probe will go one way, and then once it gets to about here, they'll have a zealot out and ready to go the other direction. Okay. And we've got a couple Marines here for Genesis. A third one is coming out. I don't think he'll probably make more than 3. It does look like he's just doing a single factory, and then he'll probably go into an expansion right now. And the SCV taking a couple pot shots from the Dragoon. But the Dragoon isn't looking to kill this right now, apparently. And Navane is getting the confirmation that Genesis is not in the bottom left. So the expansion is going down uncontested as of right now, but we do have the Dragoon walking across the map. Now there's 3 Marines here, so no problem, and probably a bunker. Yeah, so Genesis is putting a bunker down and has begun floating his barracks over. Probably going to use that to tighten this wall up a little bit. And we'll see if this Dragoon ends up taking out this SCV. He's got a couple shots on it. End up changing his targeting to this SCV, the Scout SCV that came home. And this is going to get pushed away by those 3 Marines. And they're going to hop in that bunker and be good to go. All right, so the initial Vulture has come out. And after building the Vulture, Genesis is going into that add-on and getting those tanks up. Dragoon range is almost finished. It's about 66%, 2/3 of the way done. Once that's done, he's going to be able to plink away at this bunker and just generally be annoying until that tank comes out. Do have a robotics bay, robotics facility being built, and the expansion for Nivane as well. Second factory. You do have the E-bay, so that is good timing for the E-bay. So once shuttles do start popping out of the robotics facility, he'll be able to defend himself from any type of like early Reaver or anything along those lines. Nivane's struggling a little bit to get these Dragoons in range. There we go, without being hit. And we have 1 SCV repairing. It is going to take 2. Second one is following up, and they are going to be just fine. Putting out fires. Third Dragoon's coming up, but I imagine that tank is almost done. It's not almost done, actually. It's only about a quarter of the way done. So, gonna need to pull another SCV down here if all 3 of these Dragoons were gonna shoot at this bunker, but it does look like one's actually taking some shots over here at the barracks. And if he's able to knock out this barracks, that would be just kind of annoying. Kind of annoying in the sense that Genesis wouldn't be able to continue his factory production, get to that nice 5. But we do have the tank coming out now, and siege mode is underway. So this isn't going to get a whole lot done, but it is mega annoying. And he is pulling these SCVs from mining and having to spend some cash on repairing. Now, third base is being attempted here by Nivane, but Genesis is going to be spotting that with the Vulture. Unfortunately, not getting that probe, but is going to be able to get some mines down, and maybe we'll see if he's able to bait these Dragoons over it, but it doesn't look like his attention was there at the moment. Oh, but the Dragoons get it. So, no damage done to the Protoss there. But now Genesis is aware, okay, Nivane is continuing to kind of macro, continuing to expand. And let's see where he's going with this robotics facility. Okay, so he is going observers, and he's getting the Citadel up as well. Okay, tank with siege mode, that's going to effectively halt any type of aggression here from these Dragoons. And yeah, really kind of standard game. I feel like that's like the middle square on a bingo card when you're watching someone cast a Brood War game. Yep, this looks standard. Yep, standard. Yep, gateways. Observer's going to head out over here. The Observer is going to be very helpful, especially if Genesis starts really pumping up the Vulture production and getting mines everywhere. The Observers are just absolute lifesavers in making sure you don't lose entire swaths of Dragoons to those mines all over the map. But Genesis isn't really doing that right now. He's getting, you know, he has 1 factory producing Vultures, 1 producing tanks continuously. And he's getting up to the 5 factory count right now. And Nivane's going to be seeing that. He's going to be seeing that there's no starport. I don't think he's going to poke in here and see the Academy going up or anything. But he may notice the lack of comstats. I'm not entirely sure what he can see. What can he see? No, he's basically just sitting here watching the production of Genesis. Back on his side, Gateway Explosion. We've got Zealot Legs being researched. I think it's always a good call. There's going to be a lot of tanks out on the field. He's got the shuttle capability here. He can start using those to drop Zealot bombs on the siege lines once those get established. And he is going Stargate. Not sure what other tech he may be lining up here. And I'm trying to remember if Nivane prefers like Arbiter play. Okay, so Dragoons are going to regroup. We'll see if he tries to push in here or not. The Observer's not being too active. It's sitting here watching the production. He knows that there is stuff in the base, so if he was going to start preparing for a drop of any kind, which he's really not telegraphing at any, you know, he's just building more observers, it would be defended kind of in the main base. But this also means that there's nothing up the ramp and in the natural if he were to make a really aggressive move here. More zealots heading to the front lines. This third base is starting to get saturated, getting the pylon wall up on the bottom left. Templar Archives going down. Yeah, both players doing all right. I'm really curious at what point Genesis is going to feel inclined to push out on the map. And it looks like that time might be coming sooner rather than later. Getting his tanks, getting his vultures up here on the high ground at the natural. Looks like he may start trying to contest this pizza slice, either with the intent of pushing and getting some damage done, or to push them away so he can sneak out some vultures, or to maybe even take this mineral-only base. We're going to go ahead and probably see what happens here. He does unsiege, he starts grouping up, moving out, gets the barracks moving forward for some vision, and he's going to encounter this first group of Dragoons. And they're just chilling there right now, at least until the tank sieged up. Once the tank sieged up, that was kind of Navain's cue to get out of dodge. And now he's going to be spreading around, not entirely giving up all of the space, but is going to have to back up for the time being. And with a push like this, with this many tanks and vultures, he needs to be cognizant, you know, and I like that he's keeping these forward because it will be able to delay any type of advance that really goes for a push towards his bases. All right, siege tanks are sieging up, getting a couple shots. 1 Dragoon, 2 Dragoon go down. And this barracks just flying along, getting that vision. You know, these zealots really haven't entered the fight yet, though. I think if Navain's able to draw this Terran army closer and closer to his base, there may be an opportunity for him to either flank or just completely overrun the siege line with all of those zealots. But a lot of them are staying in the back. He is getting Dragoons shaved off from these tanks, and the mines are being planted up here on this pizza slice. Now, this barracks is going to be able to peek over this wall, and it'd be kind of cool if Genesis is able to get the tanks kind of up against it and shoot over. I think they can do that. Good siege, doing a lot of damage to these Dragoons. Navain really respecting this army right now. Tons of mines going down. And this is kind of where, you know, zealots become extra dangerous, being able to drag those into that siege line. Vultures are going to come forward. They're not going to do a whole lot of damage by themselves, but look at this flank that's being set up here. Holy crap. And here come the zealots. They're coming from the left-hand side. The Dragoons are taking the main fight from the vultures here on the right, and the zealots are closing the distance. They're getting in and on top. Here comes a nice mine drag. And Navain is just collapsing all over this, but it is going to be a pretty tight fight. I think Navain's going to clean this up, but he's not going to have a ton left over. We have some reinforcements coming from Genesis. We're going to see them getting stopped a little bit short. Secure the high ground up here. And there goes that barracks. Okay, so this was cleaned up by Navain. Let's go ahead and check out on how they're all doing in their bases. So it does look like Arbiter Tech is potentially the play that we're going to be seeing on the table. Another little skirmish here. A whole wave of zealots coming in as well. And a little bit mispositioned. The Dragoons are standing forward, really taking a lot of hits from these tanks. And they are going to go down. Not sure if Navain is working on something somewhere else. Definitely macroing, keeping the Zealot and Dragoon production up. And Genesis is continuing to feed reinforcements here to the front. Now, Genesis is starting to prepare a third base. It does look like he's probably going to lift this over to the third over here with the gas. And he is continuing on 5 factory production. Not seeing any armories or anything as of yet. I think his main mission right now is to get this expansion up while applying more and more pressure to Navain. And Navain is going up on his 4th base down here at the 6 o'clock. So he is sitting in a pretty strong economic position. He has 63 probes at the moment. And there's been no economic damage really inflicted on either side. Now, Navain's supply is starting to creep ahead pretty hard. It's at 150 to 104. Couple cannons here. I like that move. Just to protect against those vulture run-bys. Which we haven't seen much yet, but They're bound to show up at some point. Having a couple cannons can really help shut that down. All right, Navain is moving kind of towards the left-hand side of the map. This could spell disaster for this expansion that's about to land over here. And Genesis's army is really not focused on that side of the map. He's got some tanks up here, but if these zealots end up running in, there's not a whole lot that he has that's going to be able to defend this. The observers are keeping tabs on this army. Ooh, and a fourth base, so he's double expanding at the moment. And here we go. It looks like Navain's going to start moving in. And it does look like he's going to try to go for the natural now. Ton of mines. Oh my gosh, but the mines being dragged into this SCV transfer. Oh man, losing so many SCVs. SCV count dropping down into the 30s right now. Now, Genesis bringing all of his vultures back from the front line to try to help these siege tanks and protect his natural. A lot of Dragoons are dying. Does re-siege back behind his bunker. That's a good move. Gets the vultures up to body block. And this is a good hold here from Genesis, but he took a lot of SCV damage there. And I don't think Navain is actually aware of this base. But after running into that SCV transfer, I think he's probably going to start poking around over there, seeing where that base is. Maybe not right now. He might just be having the assumption, like, okay, I saw that they were going somewhere. Okay, so he's regrouping. He does have an Arbiter out now. Another one about to hit the battlefield. Genesis on 7 factories. He might have been up on 7 earlier, too. I may have just missed it last time I looked. And a 5th base going down for Navain. Okay, another SCV transfer. This one much more successful than the last. And Navain hanging out, controlling the center of the map. Yep. So he did become aware of that base being present, and he's just going to charge right into it. Now we'll see if Genesis tries to trap this Protoss army in here. It does look like it is sparking a reaction. But he doesn't have much for detection. He is going to throw down a scan. That's going to last for a little bit. But I think he's going to notice how big this army is and end up pulling back. A lot of mines doing tons of damage to these zealots. Not a whole lot of vultures to fight those right now. And not to mention the vision. Having to continually use scans and this stasis knocking out 3 of these tanks from this fight. And Navain's going to just draw back. Drawing his forces back. Likely going to re-attack this base over here that is undefended. And he, I think, feels very confident in doing so, right? A good amount of tanks have been stasised. He knows that he killed the mobile portion of his army. And this is just going to be free pickings for him. SCV's going down. The SCV, or the CC does lift off. And now over on the right-hand side of the map, Navain trying to test his luck, see what kind of damage he can get done, hitting on multiple fronts. Almost losing an observer there to that turret. And this expansion is going to get cleaned up here at the, whatever this is, 10 o'clock position. Zell's doing a great job clearing out these tanks on the right-hand side. And this is going to make this base up here very vulnerable to these zealots about to run up. And he goes straight for the mineral line. More SCVs transferring that direction as well. This is looking pretty disastrous for Genesis in this first round, but he's putting up a huge fight. And if you've watched any of Genesis's games, you know he is scrappy. Alright, abandoning the base, it looks like. Maybe even trying to just contain this army up here. But there's another army coming in from the south. So many siege tanks. Good scan timing. And they're going to unload on these Dragoons. Melting left and right. We got Zealots coming in from the left-hand side. In addition to the army that was just north of that stasis. Oh my gosh. Arbiters are disgusting. And that's going to do it. That's going to do it for round 1. That is going to give Navain the first win in this series. Let's go into game number 2. And like I said, I'm not entirely sure who entered this series with the +1 advantage. But I'm sure we'll get the hint as the games go on. All right, next map is going to be Deja Vu for our number 4 Brood War Finals. And this happened like forever ago too. Definitely catching up on these streams. All right, Deja Vu 4-player map. And on the top left, we have Genesis, the blue Terran, and in the bottom right, we've got Nevane, our red Protoss, who just won last map. Dominator. A couple things to note on this map. Got eggs on the ramp, which is super annoying. Have a pretty tight choke into the natural. But one of the biggest things is this donut of high ground that kind of goes around the middle of the map right there. And the opportunities that it has for really containing your opponent and using kind of the elevated terrain outside their natural to do so. So you'll probably see a good amount of that. You'll also notice bridges leading into kind of the natural third base for each location, and no immediate all mineral bases, right? So you have your natural, and then you can walk in front of your main and get to your third, which is a little bit tough because of all this elevated terrain we already talked about. That's Deja Vu. All right, getting into it. So last game, as far as builds are concerned, we saw Nevane go into kind of just opened with Dragoon range, expanded, tried to contain Genesis with his initial Dragoons until tanks got out, and then really just mass Zealots and Dragoons while expanding rapidly until he got to about Arbiter Tech. We saw that he used his robotics facility primarily for observers as opposed to any type of reefer drop or DTs. So we'll see if we see more of that. And then on Genesis's side, we saw kind of a, I'm trying to remember, I think it was a factory expand. Yeah, I think he expanded, I don't remember. It was either right after the barracks or right after the factory, but I want to say it was right after the factory. And he got like 3 Marines initially, fought off the first Dragoon, set up a bunker, built a Vulture, and then just got a tank out and waited for siege while he had about 3 or 4 Dragoons pelting his natural wall. So this time we are having the Protoss player do a cross scout, and that is going to award Nevane with a first scout, which is always very helpful. And we have Genesis heading off into the top right. Like the probe is just chilling. And we do have a factory going down before an expansion again. We'll see if he tries to do any type of like 2-fact build or anything like that. I don't think so. He's just sitting with 1 on gas. So we'll probably see factory and expand again. Cybernetics core out as well for Nevane. He is starting his Dragoon production. So it looks like the same as last game. I know there's at least 2 Marines. Not seeing a third one this time. And it does look like Genesis is doing kind of a Z scout into the top right, going to the top bottom left, and then he'll know for sure where Nevane is, but not exactly what he's up to. Does look like he killed the scouting probe. We'll see if that changes anything that he's up to and doing, but it doesn't. Looks like he's just going to go into Vulture, get his expansion, alt Marine production, and he'll likely throw a bunker down. Dragoon is heading across. We got Nevane about to expand to his natural as well. There it goes. And this SCV just missing the Dragoon. But he's going to get in there. He's going to see everything that's going on. Dragoon range will be showing up here shortly. Vulture is going to be poking out. Potentially even getting some probe kills. We'll see if he can sneak in. Not entirely sure what he's up to. Just kind of poking around, seeing if Protoss is doing anything shady. Might just keep that there as well. Just prevent additional expansions. I don't know. Just being active on the map with this initial Vulture. Alright, so we are at 1 factory. Not going into tanks as of yet. He's opting to get his mine upgrade right away. He's going to be tightening this wall here with his barracks. Here comes the first Dragoon. That is going to run right into this Vulture. We're going to high-five each other. Dragoon's going to chase. Second one's going to try to cut it off. This is still a slow Vulture. These Dragoons might be able to continue getting some damage on it. But there's also one at the base, so... Yeah, these Vultures just being annoying. Parking themselves at next expansions, try to pick off probes as they come in. Not sure when they actually played this, if Genesis did like a replay review or like peeked in it real quick before the next series, but he might have seen how quickly Nevane was aggressively expanding. And he got mines, so he's going to be able to drop that mine there. Do one down here as well. And this is great because it's not just like helpful in denying the expansion, but it's also able to catch any type of drops that may be coming out early with like the vision of the mine. Get some mines down here, disrupt any Dragoon movement. Does lose one Vulture in the process. And we do start having tanks come out. Alright, so last game we didn't see an armory at all. This game we're getting the armory down. Maybe get some Goliaths on the field. At least get some upgrades for the mech units. Is very helpful in this matchup. Siege mode did just finish. Yeah. Feeling safe. Genesis feeling good right now. And here comes that expansion. So I don't know when that mine died. But the fact it was even there, right, is going to help with kind of giving the heads up that there's activity over here. Whether it got killed by the Dragoon or, I don't think it saw the probe. That is kind of a tip off to Genesis that, okay, Devane's out on the map. He's expanding. Missile turret is going down. I don't even see the engineering bay. It must be up here. Yeah, there it is. And continuing to power up. We do have Nevane going Observer again, also getting that Stargate out as well. And it looks like he's just sticking to his guns, sticking to his game plan. Getting the Arbiter tech, I think, is probably the next thing we're going to be seeing. And this time, I think Genesis is tailoring his play to that. Getting some of these Goliaths out, something that can shoot up and get rid of these Arbiters as they start hitting the field. A little bit of mine clearing operations. These 3 Dragoons aren't going to get like any damage done, but they might continue to get rid of some of these mines that are out in front of the natural. Good spot for that tank to provide overwatch. Here's a little bit of that occupying that high ground outside the natural I was talking about earlier. Very common play pattern on this map. Alright, getting up to 5 barracks. Going to have an academy out here soon. Scan the main. See what's going on. See a bunch of gateways. See the Templar archives. And he'll know that this is basically the same thing that he ran into last game. Arbiter Tribunal going down. Not a whole lot of turrets. He built 1 turret out here at the front. 1 in the natural. 1 at the minerals. Maybe feeling a little bit more comfortable knowing that, there's an armory. He can get some Goliaths out if needed. But Nevane did a really good job of just having vision all last game as well. So not much denying that. This turret, once it's complete, will likely knock this Observer out, especially if this Goliath can range it. And this to me looks like a dual purpose like army setup. This looks like 1, preventing Genesis from getting his 3rd base, and 2, providing a staging ground for a recall. Oh man, zones the Observer straight into the The middle of the base. See if this Dragoon just gets knocked out here. Nope, no vision for the tanks. Okay, and so that's going to force Navain to pull back and regroup. Maintaining good control over the center of the map. Alright, CC is complete. It looks like we're going to be seeing Genesis kind of push out. Likely to clear this. Didn't see where that scan went. Oh, it looks like it just went right on the middle. And over here. So he's going to see the one Zealot. He's going to see the bulk of the Protoss force hanging out over there. And it does look like he has vision on this. He just hasn't decided to kill it. Maybe, I think. Maybe I was clicking the wrong vision. Yeah, I think I clicked the wrong vision when I was looking for the scans. Oh well. Long day. There's an SCV here. But the turret does get completed. Okay, so the SCV is going to be able to run away. This Dragoon's just going to get schwacked. Does look like he's sending another Dragoon that might have just been baited in from the fire, or maybe had bad pathing if it was grouped with these. But a couple Dragoons going down for free. And these Dragoons are denying this expansion for the time being. This is going to be a little bit of a pain for Genesis to get into, but scanning up top, he's noticing he can at least claim this high ground, which I think is huge. He might be able to just contain this army down here, maybe kill it in its entirety, if he can get up and secure this high ground. But he might just go straight for a damaging attack here. We do have shuttles out on the field now. We do have an Arbiter being constructed. Double starport as well. The Arbiters are about to hit the field. Dragoons are getting aggressive with this CC. Genesis is on top of it. It's flying away. Alright, so we got the attack for the expansion going on over here. We have a fight going on at the natural. A good amount of Zealots being, trying to decide which direction they want to go. Do they want to deny or do they want to protect? Opting to come up here and try to help deny and assist these Dragoons in this fight. But it does look like it's all being pushed away. Now, meanwhile, over here at the natural, this tank count is absurd. Now, the Arbiter is showing up, and it might be too little too late. But the rest of the Protoss army is coming from behind. So, well, we're going to have to see how Genesis' tanks do. But he's getting a ton of damage on these probes. This Nexus is likely to go down. He's going to need to scan. He does, and he eliminates all the Zealots that were protecting that ramp. And now the rest of the army is going to be trickling in. But this siege line is pretty deep. Now, he's going to take a lot of friendly fire here, but all the Zealots are dead. And so this might be Genesis's game. Like, he's just on top of Navain's natural right now, killing everything that is coming out at him. This Arbiter not really being able to provide much assistance. It's building energy. I don't know if it has stasis, and if it does, it needs to wait until it's available. Now, the scan did wear off, but he does get the Nexus. He has another scan in the bank. Okay, so he's going to be able to clean up these Dragoons right here. But this might finish off the attack. Good mines. Love to see it. Alright, so the attack is cleaned up, but that was really good damage from Genesis. You can see the supply swing in Genesis's favor. We're at 89 to 150. These vultures going to come over here and snipe this probe. There's another one up here in the top right. That's the expansion that Navain's going to be taking. And we'll see if these vultures head up there to check that location as well. Now this mine is luckily, I think, yep, it's going to see and it's going to catch this small army moving out. But the vultures are on their way. So he's going to know this expansion's up. I don't think he's been over here, but he might have already scanned it. It's tough to tell. Where'd that probe go? Did he hide it? Might have been killed. Alright, and a ton of vultures. So this third base is looking very secure for Genesis. Got a whole slew of mines and tanks down here to protect, and a whole army waiting for him to give them orders. Things are looking good for Genesis this round. Vulture's running in, looking to get some harassment damage. Going straight for the mineral line. A couple cannons here are going to help protect a good amount. But he is getting some good probe damage. You can see the probe count just dropping. But gets cleaned up. But is successful in making sure that he knows where the Protoss army is. Had it all completely drawn back. And is just keeping a little bit of pressure on after that successful battle that he had at the natural. Wish he'd kill these eggs. Tank drivers don't know how to go around eggs. Little forward warning Dragoon gets splattered. And Protoss is making a move. Alright, he's pushing in. Big battle in the middle of the field. Scan goes down. Arbiter's Cloak is basically useless. Does he have enough for a stasis? He does, and a huge one at that. Getting 4 Vultures and 2 tanks for it. Now the Goliaths, the new addition we saw this round from last round, getting some good damage in on this Arbiter. And this is going to do a good job of kind of just halting Genesis's advance. That Dragoon looks stuck to me. Stasis lasts for so long. Kind of ridiculous. Also looking at upgrades, Genesis sitting at 2-1. 0 upgrades for Dragoons. It's a big army. This is a big army, lots of tanks. The biggest thing that is concerning to me for Navane's army, one, he's being kind of pulled apart here. But two, the zealot count just isn't there. He needs the zealots to get on top of these tanks. But he is forcing sieges, and that's going to slow down this Terran force while he's able to macro up back at home. He's got a gajillion gateways. It looks like 12 gateways here. Mined out in the main, though. More arbiters hitting the field. 3rd and 4th are looking good. 2 additional gateways up in the top right. Sitting at 14 gateways. But not much as far as a standing army. Now, he doesn't have any science vessels, so these scans are going to be like gold for him. But he does take out that Arbiter, okay? So he took out the Arbiter, still threw a scan down, which I think was probably being prepped before that went down. And he is just going to absolutely clean this up. And Navane realizes it. He sees the writing on the wall. Okay, so we are at an even score right now. Technically, one of them was in the winner's bracket and entered this with 1. But we're sitting at 1-1. Let's go into the next game. So game number 3. Polypoid. So technically, because one of these players entered this series with 1 map win, one of these players, if they win, would mark the end of the series. I just don't remember which one it was. So we'll see if there's a game after this. And if not, whoever wins this one is the actual winner of the finals. Polypoid, 4-player map. Our blue Terran in the bottom right, that is Genesis. Username Mechasis. In the bottom left, we've got our red Protoss player, Navane. Both players sitting at a 1-1 record that we've watched so far. Polypoid, very kind of like standard map. It has the mineral-only expansion as the natural 3rd. No eggs or anything at the natural. The middle bases have ramps that go up to both directions, and they're also all the way up against the edge of the map. So any type of drops or anything that may be flying in and out of bases or across horizontally, like they're set up right now, will be noticed from this location. That's pretty much the big thing about Polypoid. Polypoid also has these walls and the elevated third base locations, which do help with kind of defense and offense, kind of just like what we saw with the pizza slices on Dominator and stuff. All right, map complete. We do have a scout going out for Navain. Looks like he's going to do a cross scout again. We saw that last game where he ran straight into Genesis's base. And right now what we've seen from Navain is the same thing kind of both times, right? Just like early goon pressure into Zealot goon, uses his robotics facility primarily for observers. We did see a shuttle, a couple shuttles I think last game, but we didn't really see them utilized. We may have missed some Zealot drops on tanks and stuff, but they weren't heavily used. And then as far as Genesis is concerned, pretty much factory expand into 5-fac seems to be kind of the build that we've noticed the last 2 games. So this time Genesis is going cross scout, and we'll see if he kind of does a zigzag pattern or if he turns the SCV one direction and sends another one. All right, so he's going to realize not a cross spawn. Same for Navain. And, you know, depending on the direction Genesis sees this probe coming from, it might actually influence where he thinks Navain is. Like if he comes out and sees this probe coming from the top right, he may actually turn this SCV to the top right in hopes that that's where Navain is. And so we do see the SCV heading that direction. And he may have already been heading that direction, but that's where he's going. Okay, so the Zealot was following the probe in the event that there was a confirmation up here, but he is going to be sending it down to the bottom right. Now this is different from the last 2 games. The last 2 games we've been seeing Dragoons first. This game we are seeing the Zealot pressure kick this match off. Now we do have 3 Marines. We're going to have to see how Genesis's micro is. Does get that wounded one back, retreating to the main base. Factory, okay, so we do have a vulture going down, and this looks like a second factory. It is. So both players mixing up their builds here a little bit. Navain going with a much more aggressive Zealot Dragoon opening, and Genesis going with a much more aggressive 2-fac opening. Uh-oh. Marines are going down. We've got 2 vultures on the field, though. Okay, taking out the Zealot. Gonna lose 1 vulture. We're still not at the point where tanks can be coming out, so it's gonna be all vultures and Marine. Ah, the SCVs go over to repair, but they're just a little too late. Now they're gonna get in the face of this Dragoon, which is really good. And this is going to be kind of a challenge for Navain to micro, while the Vulture can sit here and just get some blink shots and the Marine come out. So I think Genesis is just fine here. This Dragoon's going to come up here and be annoying. Might even get this Vulture. He's going to run it away, bring the Marine up, get it repaired. Another Vulture and Marine show up. So yeah, Genesis is fine. And it does look like he has the add-on down here, and he's starting tank production and mines. Now, over on Navain's side of the map, we have an expansion going down, additional Dragoons coming out, and he's going into his robotics facility. So it doesn't look like, looks like kind of the mid-game is shaping up to be the same for Navain, but where it's coming to be different, or going to be different, is I think Genesis is going to have a much more aggressive push coming out here sooner than the previous games. So sitting at 4 vultures, 1 tank, handful of Marines. I imagine once we see the second tank come out, that might trigger a move out. But we'll see how much Genesis can build up here. He's bringing some probes over. That looks like it might have been a mistake. Maybe to tank some shots. Battle probe. Alright, so Genesis is going to push out here a little bit after that second tank shows up. Kills the probe that was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now, I don't know if he's going to push out beyond this and transition into like an expansion, or if he's actually going to try to get some attacks in. Okay, so it does look like he's moving out. I think that brief pause was probably a little bit of just control grouping. He's going to bring some SCVs up, top off the health of his Vulture. And Main's kind of doing more of the same, getting an observer out. He just put down a third base. Now I feel like Navain should know this is coming, and I don't know if he's going to have enough to defend this. All right, SCV's looping around. Might be getting some good body blocks here. Surround these Dragoons. Vulture's taking a lot of the hits, allowing the tanks to do their work. Dragoons starting to drop like flies. The SCVs are getting up in the action. Very strong 2-factory push here. Additional reinforcements showing up. It looks like they've been rallied to the ramp. And I think, Navain's going to definitely lose this expansion, if not the game here. Siege mode activated for these tanks. Bunch of probes just got obliterated. And this Nexus is going to go down real fast. All right, so what does Navain have? He has a couple of observers. No army in the main. Nothing up here at the third. This is looking pretty rough. Pretty rough for our Protoss hero. Bunker engineering bay going down. Genesis looking to set up a contain, but I think once he comes up here and he sees that there's just not much, these tanks might just start moving up here as well. Built a bunker for his lonely Marine. Oh, his buddy Joe is showing up. Gonna hide the SCV in there for a little bit. Psych. Doing a fire drill. Alright, getting these Vultures up here. I think primarily for vision. Now back in his base, he's just pumping units. It does look like he might get an expansion down. So he is going to expand behind this. He has his academy with the scanner. And he's getting some of these missile turrets down. Yeah, I think Genesis could be playing this a little bit more aggressive. The shuttle's not going to be able to do much with this once these missile turrets are out. But there may be a world where that shuttle can come over here and start messing some things up. Now, unfortunately for Navain, Genesis has smartly kept a few units back in the main base. And is just making this whole thing messy. He's going to send a Vulture up here. He's going to identify the third. I don't think that he's going to redirect units from this contain, though. But he might take some of the contingent that he's been building up to send over there and deal with that. But there's only one Dragoon. Okay, a couple more Dragoons. Looks like he's been elevatoring those. They're going to loop around. See if they can cut off reinforcements. But there's no reinforcements coming. They're all kind of just building up here while Genesis is macroing behind all this. And this Vulture doing work. Looks like killed all the probes up here. Sitting at 2 kills. Okay, and now we have some reinforcements being schwacked. Some of these SCVs are going to be heading home. But these Dragoons aren't going to be able to do anything. There's tanks, there's Vultures. I don't even know if there's anything in here. Oh, there's a Reaver in here, though. Okay, Reavers change all the math. Zealots get out. Reavers gets the shot off on one of the tanks. Is able to get one of them. Oh no, this unsieged tank is just doing so much damage to it, though. Oh, so close. Both these tanks only one scarab away from being knocked out. Good attempt there. Missile turret gets down. And is going to shoo away this shuttle. Now, if he can get that Reaver... Oh, no, the Reaver died. Never mind. But the Reaver could have been very helpful back here as well. Now, I don't know if he's producing more. He does have another one in production. So we may see additional Reaver play. And that might be exactly what Navain needs to kind of even the playing field here. Man, this Vulture doing 5 damage at a time. We'll check back on it in a couple minutes. SCV scouting around, just making sure that Protoss hasn't gotten out in any type of like ninja bases, other than the one that he's well aware of. All right, we have some more elevator action going on. I think this might be the same map that we watched Genesis play on. Maybe not. Maybe it was like Radeon or something. But he was way behind, contained to his main, and he basically elevated out and created a victory from it while leaving the contain on his main. That contain just stayed there the entire game. And he was able to turn it around. I think it was probably this bracket too. Good job, Vulture. Keep doing your work. Nothing up here. Just a Reaver that might have a Scarab. Alright, Vulture's going to see this army. The Protoss scrambles. Oh, man. Alright, here comes the push. Push from Protoss to make something happen, but there's so many siege tanks, there's so many mines. Here comes the shuttle with the Reavers. 2 Reavers and a Dream. Here we go. Does kill 1 tank, kills all the Marines. One of the Reavers goes down immediately, and the second one does as well. The whole Protoss army has been destroyed, and that's the GG from Navane. Okay, so that means that Genesis is up 2-1. I think he could be the winner in this tournament. I hate that I didn't check. If there's no game here... Ah, there is a game. We already did Dominator. Hold on. Oh, I think I know what happens. 212750. 21275. Yeah, okay, that's the same game that we already saw. So Genesis does end up winning Brood War number 4. Now, I was gonna do more and cast additional games, but I'm actually not feeling very great, so I'm gonna call it at that. So if you find this video, or if you happen to be watching and you're not part of StarCraft Underground, join it. The Discord link is in the description of the video on YouTube and in this Twitch channel. It's a great time. If you play StarCraft 2 or Brood War, there's unlimited brackets, there's always something to join, internal promotion system, and it's just a great time. All right, but that's going to be it. Talk to y'all later.